Just kidding. Welcome to On the Other Side, Leadership After Trends. I almost fell out of my seat. We just started. I'm sitting stationary, and I almost fell, which doesn't make much sense. Hey, Happy New Year to all of you. Welcome back to 2019, right? Hey, for you that are out there doing something new, doing something great, or trying to do something new and something great, but you have the same mindset from last year, just letting you know, change it early, because otherwise 2019 ends, you'll be doing the same thing. So get out there and get after it. Hey, if you're looking for a book to get to help you do that, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, you got to get it. It's 13 hours on Audible, but it's like a book / podcast. After each chapter, they break it down, have a conversation, they go from there. Telling you right now, that'll change your mindset about a lot of things. So if you're having a difficult time, jump on it, check it out. It's a great book. And I'm not getting paid to say that, just so you know, I really dig the book. Anyhow, hey, for any of you in the Tampa area, next Friday, the 11th of January, I think Friday's the 11th. Anyway, the 11th of January, we're going to be down at O'Brien's on the corner of Kings and Lumsden. The American Freedom Distillery, the Horse Soldier story is going to, those folks are going to be out there. It's going to be a great time. So if you want an opportunity to come and see me, shake my hand, and just have a drink with me, come on down. But more importantly, come out here and check out their story. It's going to be a great time. And I'll get more information as the week progresses because it's new to me. So we're going to get some more information out to you. So anyhow, that's all the administrative stuff. And I knocked that out. But listen, if you're listening to this right now, you're on this Facebook page, Facebook group, and it's awesome. Just so you know, I stripped the audio from here and I put it on every podcast player known to man. Probably not, but I try my hardest. So iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, everywhere you can find it, that's where I'm at. So by all means, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Let's try to grow this year. I didn't really do a good job of growing throughout the course of the year. I kind of just did this to do it. I'm actually getting involved in Twitter. I've had a Twitter account for a year and a half. I don't even know how to tweet. I just look at stuff sometimes. So working on Instagram. So all that social media stuff that people do and I don't, I'm getting after it really early in this part of the year. So now, all of that aside, let's get to why we're here. Now, I wasn't going to read the bio, but I'm going to read the bio. So Charlynda, you're going to have to wait to come on because I want to read this because it's phenomenal. I'm going to look away from the camera because I'm going to read from over here just so y'all are tracking, but I want to read this. Charlynda Scales is a dynamic motivational speaker, brand ambassador, Air Force veteran, social media influencer, and the founder and CEO of Much Sauce LLC, a company that makes the sauce for every meal. Much Sauce was the grand prize winner of Bob Evans Farms 2017 Heroes to CEOs contest. Amazing. She is a Clemson University graduate with a degree in aerospace science and business management. She also holds an MBA in strategic leadership. She started the company Much Sauce LLC while she was still serving active duty in the military. Charlynda has been featured in Forbes.com, MadameNoir.com, CBS News, Black Enterprise Magazine, Military.com, Army.mil, and Air Force Association Magazine. In 2016, she was crowned second runner-up Miss Veteran America. Charlynda was also selected for the 2018 cover of Military Spouse magazine, not to mention that she's on the board of governors for the VETI Awards, the Veteran Awards for that are coming up. It's the fourth annual, I believe, and I'll verify that in one moment. But listen, did you hear all that stuff I just said? I'm missing stuff. So this is important that you listen because she's awesome. She's got all this stuff. I mean, all the things in which she's done. I never heard of half of these things until I started following her about a year and a half ago. And the VETIs, we're going to get into that because I think it's an amazing thing. But all of those things that she has done, what are you doing? I mean, that's what I ask all of you out there is as she's doing all these things, I ask you, what are you doing? Because it should not be possible for one person to accomplish all of this. So my 2019 I guess you'd say resolution is to not doing anything. I got to get out there and I got to grow. I got to move because I got to catch her. I mean, I just got to catch her. So anyway, without further ado, let me bring on Miss Charlynda Scales. How are you?
Hi. I'm doing great, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for being here. I got to tell you something which I haven't done very well since I started this show. Is I've really thanked the people that watch. And that's important because without people watching, it really just becomes a conversation between two people, right? So I enjoy the people that watch, but most importantly, I enjoy the people that come on. I learn so much. I mean, yes, I can see some things on social media. I see some posts. I watch and I see all these pictures and I'm like, well, here she is, there and there and there and there. Here I am, here and here and here. But it's really nice always to get the opportunity and the time that you guys give to talk to me. And I really learn something new every time I have this forum. So again, thank you for your time. And I truly appreciate you being here.
I'm so happy to be able to have this podcast. You know what's going on with me, so I am excited to be able to talk to you right now. I really
am. So just so you all know, I cornered her. She had some. She's on convalescence. She's getting better. She's recovering.
Illustration of what I look like right now.
That's awesome. So I made sure that she couldn't tell me she was busy or she had to fly to this place or be at this place. She's not going anywhere. So she's stuck on the couch. That's good stuff. So for the viewing audience, where are you at today? You're coming from Ohio?
Yeah, I'm in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay. Got any snow outside or is it just cold?
It's just cold. It is just miserably cold. And I am not a cold weather person, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, growing up in Buffalo, what I would do, I mean, you can never really gauge the cold until you actually went out in it. But a good way to gauge it was to put your hand on the window. You would know that, like, I mean, you obviously can't feel the wind, but you could put your hand on the window and say, oh, I'm going to definitely need gloves today. But well, today, just so you know, that it's 84 degrees. I think there might have been 6 clouds total that passed over Tampa. And beautiful, beautiful day down here.
Yeah, I need to just come down there and visit. I'll tell you, Tampa, that's where it's at.
It's where it's at. It's what it's about. All right. So what I kind of want to do for as we get into the story of you, right? I want to hear kind of how you became. What did you do to join the military? I mean, I know that you graduated from Clemson, all that good stuff, but I want to hear how did you get in to the military? What was the thought process, and where did you get in from?
Yeah. So my family has served for like the last 4 generations. So I would say that I come from a military family. It's kind of, it's the thing. It's the conversation that you have. It's not so much what college you want to go to, but it's like who in this generation, you or your cousins or your brothers and sisters, which one of y'all is going into the military, what branch, discuss it amongst yourselves. Somebody is going. So, you know, my grandfather was in Vietnam, Korea. He was in the Air Force. I have uncles who were in every branch. I think everything except for the Coast Guard. So we've done everything except for the Coast Guard. My cousin, who is in my generation, actually went to the Marine Corps, but he got hurt. So while he was in there, he got hurt and he came back home. And I was like, you know, that was a good college try. Way to go. Way to represent. And so my grandpa was like, who's next? I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
That didn't count. So he didn't think it counted. I thank my cousin all the time for his service. I think even if you used to put that uniform on one day, you know, you served. But my grandfather, his mindset was like retirement. So I decided that at that time, I had applied for the ROTC scholarship and got a full ride to Clemson. So they paid for me to go to Clemson. That's how I ended up on my Air Force contract. So.
Okay. So you wanted to do the Air Force? I'm just throwing it out there as a. I'm just teasing. Believe me, I've worked with Air Force. I mean, Airmen, Marines, and sailors.
Yeah. Well, you know, I really did have so much respect for my grandfather. He was in the Air Force, and he just spoke so fondly about his time and all the things that he saw around the world. He was an aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
And I think just hearing him, you know, firsthand every day, because I grew up in the house with him, that's what really motivated me to go into the Air Force too.
That's a great branch. I'm just talking nonsense.
Talking to the recruiters, I was like, well, these Marine Corps guys are crazy. Because my cousin was like, come to the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Not for me. I hear you.
So, but I went to and my main motivation too, I was a jock, so I wanted to play sports, and I wanted to still have the college experience. I didn't want to miss out on it. And I thought if I had gone in just straight into the military, I was going to miss out on the college experience. And that's how everything collided into me doing ROTC versus just directly going into the Air Force.
Right. So when you got to school, you graduate, and you have to go honor the commitment to the Air Force now. Now, what was your job? What did they have you doing in the Air Force?
I was a 63 Alpha acquisitions. So in the civilian world, as a program manager. or, I guess you start out as a project manager and morph into a program manager. And I didn't know what the heck that was because it just came out like they had just made it. They used to have like supply and logistics, but they didn't have like acquisition. So I was trying to understand what it was. And they said, you're a business major. It best fits your background and you're going to be managing teams. So,
okay.
Got to crash.
Now you were active duty Air Force, or you were reserve Air Force. What did you do from that? I mean, did you start off in active duty?
Active duty. Yeah, I did 10 years active duty. And then 2015 is when I made the transition to the reserve. So now I'm 3 years as a reservist. And my new, what do you call it, MOS? I guess my new background is I'm a contingency planner for presidential events. So I get augmented for things like inauguration, security, State of the Union, stuff like that.
So you do your time out in the DC area when you go out. That's not bad. I mean, Ohio, I'm thinking I'd rather go to DC too. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's not a bad break. I mean, truly. I talk nonsense about, and just so you know, anybody that knows me that's from Ohio, I pick on them all the time. But I've only been there a few times in my life, so it's not something which it's just more jabs for no reason whatsoever.
See, I like fly everywhere. I'm like anywhere.
Everywhere. Please get me out of here. That's good. So let's talk about the time that you were transitioning. How it kind of went when you decided. Like, officers are a little different than enlisted folks. When the decision comes, there's things, the decommissioning and or whatever. And some people just want to get out because they want to get out. Some owe more time, and then some want to do the reserves because it gives them a little bit of a safety net, if you will. It gives you some type of stability and an unstable thought pattern, I guess, when you're starting to get out. So as you set out to be to transition, did it initially hit you that I'm going to be a reservist, or through the process in itself, did it kind of just play out that way?
Yeah, I was not ready to get out, and I've only discussed this a couple of times, but it was a combination of things. There was a lot of stuff happening at the moment that I had transitioned. I was active duty and I was in a unit that I was ready to leave. I had done 2 years, but in my personal life, I was like, I had been like chasing someone across the country. It's like the biggest game of tag when you're military trying to be in a relationship. And it was the first time in my life that I said my personal life is important to me. Yeah. And I'm having to judge how important is it. At the same time, Mutt Sauce was taking off because I started it when I was active duty. So when you ask people like, how did she run a company and do active duty? Well, it's not without a lot of lack of sleep and free time. I would try my best to do as much stuff business-wise on the weekends or late at night. Like, I really didn't want anything during the day to distract me from doing my job. And my grandfather was very stern about, you give everything that you can when you're in that uniform. And the moment that you can't give your nation 100%, I fully expect you to turn in your paperwork.
Yeah.
And the harder, like the more that the business was growing, I'm at work. Sometimes I was tired. I knew that something was happening with Mutt Sauce that I needed to give it more attention. So that was happening at the same time that I'm making this personal life decision. And then at the same time, I had heard through the grapevine that we had a new commander coming in. And I tell people don't leave bad organizations, they leave bad bosses. Yeah. And he came in with his own reputation. I don't want to speak ill of him. I would just say the briefing that I had gotten from the previous commander, he said, you worked your butt off. Yeah. And we're going to let you PCS. You're going to move at the 2-year point. In my personal life, that's perfect timing. I'm getting married. That's what I want to do. He's like, I'm going to put you on a source selection, which is like a contract negotiation. And I was like, how long is that going to be? It's like a year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, everything was like, and peace.
Yeah. It helped make your decision for you. I mean, it's really interesting. And I like how that happens sometimes. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I've watched people. I was a career counselor as well, and I'd see people as they're struggling because it's very difficult. A lot of people that do really, really well in the military only have the military, and that's all they really. That's their sole focus, and it's good because they're able to move around, whether they have a family or not, whether they care where they live or not. It doesn't matter because the military, everything else is just an addition, right? And for them, step by step, pace by pace, move by move, and year by year. It's a simple thing, but there's so many people that get torn. And when they get torn, you have to ask that question, which one's more important? And if one becomes more important than the other, especially if it's the personal side of life, that kind of, you need to be grown enough and or at least logical enough to make the choice to go that way, if that's what's important to you. Because if you go the other way and it's not as important, you fail at your job and or you don't give 100% to the people, especially when you're someone like you or in your position to be a commander or whatever it may be, even later on in life, you have to be able to give 100% to those folks that are looking for you to give 100%. So that's good. I mean,
I was really torn a lot in that period of time. And I say, I'm very stubborn. So I'm one of those people that has to get pushed off a cliff. They say, entrepreneurs are the ones that'll jump off a cliff and build the parachute on the way down. Like I have to be pushed off the cliff. Like, right. I'll keep going and pushing as long as I can until someone gives me the 300, kick me in the chest. That was like, it had to be like everything I had. You have to see it and say, there's no other choice. Yeah. I cannot see a way out. I cannot see a way that I can be Wonder Woman and just do it all. Something's got to go.
Yeah. So on the way out, and you decided, okay, this is it. Did you instantly come up with the idea to go onto the reserve side of the house, or did you try to weigh your options to say, okay, I mean, I'm getting ready to go to the TAPS program. I'm going to listen to what they have to say. I'm going to start resumes, even though Mud Sauce is moving. Not too sure where we're at from a financial perspective, and I can ask you that in a moment. As far as is it stable for you to leave what you're currently being paid and then maintain that same lifestyle, or is it something in which I have to be able to insert some type of dollar that's going to allow me to be compensated for, because that's what a lot of us have to do, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I walked back on the base the very next day as a government contractor.
Okay.
So as I was getting ready to make this change, in my mind, I'm like, this is happening really fast, but I know that my account is not set up for me to really do
the way my account is set up is
the way my checking and my savings. So
Right.
I know that I need at least a couple months to figure things out. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to manage right now having Mud Sauce and having a full-time job. I don't want to jip the military in that way, that if you're thinking my service needs to be in a 1-year source selection, I can't do that.
Right.
I can do program management. I can do, those things, but that source selection, I couldn't give what they needed
that time. Yeah. So as you're getting ready to get out, right? And did you think that, I mean, you knew you were going to be an entrepreneur, you already were one. So it wasn't as if you're looking to do so many other things. The government contract definitely was allowing you to put that compensation piece in there and give you that safety net, right, from a dollar perspective, which was great. But when you went through the TAPS program, was there anything there that was able to help you on that track to do that, or is it something that you kind of just had to make up as you went?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the Boots to Business program. They had the Boots to Business program, and I became really great friends with the lady who ran it at Right Pat. Okay. She really kind of helped me get organized. She said, there's a lot going on. You're trying to balance 2 basically full-time jobs. So let's try to lean out some of your processes within Mud Sauce so that you can handle this transition a little bit better. Because even though you're leaving the military and going to a full-time job, being a defense contractor is a whole different ballgame than being, the captain at the time where you're the lead of the team. You're going to be the support guy. Mm-hmm. And you get there and you're like, oh, I don't get to make a decision. Like, someone is indecisive. I just have to sit there and
sometimes that's it's interesting, and I like hearing it from your perspective, because I mean, obviously we're in 2 different places. We've only spoken and for a few moments in person, so we don't really know. But leaving the Army, and then, I went and sold cars for a little bit before it was just too many hours, especially with wanting to be an entrepreneur and having a business and not having any time to spend with my family. And I kind of retired to do those two things. So I wanted to spend time with my family and work my business. Well, working in the car dealership, although I loved it, by the way, I loved the company and the organization as it was, and even the selling of the cars, it just wasn't feasible. So the government contract job came real quick. Well, I was a squadron sergeant major when I retired, and then I came into the contract world, and I knew it in my head, like it was there, but it wasn't something that I had experienced from the contractor position. Yeah, no.
You're like, oh snap.
I'm just gonna wait here because I can't make any real decision, and it's like it's even something simple. I mean, don't get me wrong; they empower you to do some things. It's not so bad, but it's still, that a government person has to make the call and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, wow, I'm so used to just being very, forward leaning and doing this, but now you're kind of, mind a little bit, pull yourself back. That's awesome.
The good thing about it is I learned better time management because I was a workaholic as a military person. I'm like 8 o'clock, still at the building. It's okay. Go home, change, shower, work out. 5 o'clock, back at work, And I'm like, when I became a contractor and you're sitting there and you're working diligently, and then you see like the government people leaving and they're looking at you, I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
You here.
Right. It's time to go.
I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, there's some definite benefits to it. And I think it affords, and that's kind of, it's also not time management, but it's also, okay, I'm back down here again. You know what I mean? It's like after a while, you get up to a position, and you're not kind of the bottom person anymore. And it's nice to, especially when you're going to run a company, right? It's nice to get to a position to where you remember you're the employee again. And how are you as the CEO, whatever the title is we want to call ourselves, how are you going to treat your employees? And I see, just so you know, as I watch your social media things and see different pictures, and I watch people fall into fountains, and I see the coworkers that you have and the people that you work with and or for, whatever you want to call it. But it's a relationship in which you've built with the people and the team that you have. It's very it's admirable, right? It's that level of leadership and team building that is kind of what you want, right?
Yeah, well, I told them like the Military Influencers Conference was the big hurrah at the end of the year. So it's the reward for a whole year's worth of work. You get the trip out to Military Influencers Conference, and even when they're selling, they're happy to do it. And that's why I look for not so much your ability to, you don't have to have worked in sales, but I need to see that your personality is one that is pleasant and friendly. And that you have humility about you, that you are okay with learning something new, even if you worked with me for a long time. And that's basically it. I really pick people by their personality.
It's awesome. All right. So now, if you had an opportunity to talk to a single person, right, which you do, I mean, there's I don't even know who's live or not right now. It doesn't even matter. But what I do know is you have an opportunity to tell someone, give some advice about transitioning, whether it be from an entrepreneurial perspective or just a separating in general perspective, however it is. What would you give? What advice would you give to somebody?
I would. Wow, there's so many things.
Yeah, you just get to choose one, right? No, I mean you can say.
Well, I would just say use the things that made you successful as a military person can still be carried through this transition. I hate the word resilience. That's another subject. But that perseverance that we have, that grit that we have, it's going to take them far. I mean, there's going to be a lot of challenges as they navigate different roles and responsibilities, how you're going to keep food on the table, all of this stuff. But, I think that we're the most emotionally prepared people as compared to other Americans who transition in and out of jobs. We're more mentally and emotionally prepared and unnoticed than others. So just
it's interesting as you say that. A couple shows ago, and I've been doing this now for 2 years. As a matter of fact, what is today? The 3rd. So it's on the 9th last year, or 2 years ago, is when I started my very first podcast. And just so you know, on the first, I didn't even know what a podcast was. But anyhow, I've had a lot of these questions, and these questions are every show, and I talk to people that aren't on the show, and we just have conversation about transition and transition and transition. The word's used so much, and that word, when you say it, it becomes like a fearful thing. But it was really brought up to me only a few shows back that we transition so much more in the military. It shouldn't even be that big of a factor, right? I mean, yes, there are some things, but you go from job to job, and no matter what your title is,
all the time.
Different. It's so much stuff. Because new commanders and new PCS, or you go somewhere new, or you just, especially on the enlisted side, don't get me wrong, officers still go from job to job to job, and it's never the same. I mean, you might be an XO now, but you're not going to be an XO the next place. It's just constantly changes. So you transition so much, but I guess because there's an expectation that you're going to be okay, and because you're around and surrounded by the comfort of the military or the uniform and people with like minds and all that stuff, it actually becomes easier. But the fact that we do transition often, you have to be, you got to persevere, and you got to show that level of grit from base to base, not just, or as well as going from uniform to whatever it is that you wear. I wear a suit, but whatever you have, I don't know what you wear, dresses or whatever. I mean, every time I see her at some gala or something,
those are like my Cinderella moments. Like I like it. I get excited because most of the time, like, we're pretty laid back with t-shirts and jeans. So.
Oh yeah, I said I saw what was it that I watched you that I thought was awesome? You were in a car. You were eating donuts. You were eating donuts in a car. It was raining outside. It was hilarious because you were doing a live video, and I was just like, there she is. They're getting ready to do an event. It was State Fairs. I can't remember. I mean, it was like
Beaver Creek Popcorn Festival, and it was torrential downpour. And my everybody else was out there. I was like, I know that my team is going to be out there, and I'm going. So, yeah.
It looked rough. Anyhow, so it's good. So we've alluded to some things that you're doing. We've talked about it, but I'd like to kind of ask you what you're doing now. I mean, so we know that you were in the Air Force. We know that you got out and you became a reservist as well as a government contractor. And all this happened in the 2015 timeframe. Right now, here we are, fast forward 3 years. And what do you do? I mean, besides sitting on the couch, getting better, healing. But so what is Mutt Sauce, and what is it doing now?
Yeah, so like you had alluded to before, so I have Mutt Sauce, and Mutt Sauce is an all-purpose tomato-based specialty sauce. It comes in 4 flavors. So the original recipe was made by my grandfather in 1956. And I say this because I do some consulting sometimes for food businesses, and I say the only reason why I've really been good at food business is because I know business.
Right.
I don't know food.
Right.
Would you see people who are doing well in their food business because they've harnessed the job knowledge, harnessed the knowledge of how to make the business run. And you can even have a crappy product, but if your business acumen is good, then it's going to explode. I would give you names of brands, but then I would be talking badly, and I would do that. Right. But I would say, people can put sludge in a jar, but the marketing is fantastic.
Right.
So I feel like this has been a journey. I will never be able to have this conversation with my grandfather. He passed away right after I graduated college. But when I learned that I had inherited this recipe, I'm like, you skipped 8 people and you didn't say why. And you just gave it to me. And I was on active duty, and he knew what I wanted to do. So at that point, I said, well, I just want to share this with people. So this whole journey of me getting this product packaged and selling it and going door to door in farmers markets. And just this past year, we learned we're going to be in Kroger this spring. So that is it was a lot of hustle. It was a lot of out in the sun, in the torrential rain. And I do those lives because I want people to see that. I don't want to glamorize something that takes a lot of hustle. But where we are is we're getting ready for Kroger. It's probably the biggest purchase order I've ever had. Kroger is the #1 grocer. And after that, they said, if Kroger wants you, you got to get ready for other places. Like, oh, you can get Kroger. Sure, Safeway, Publix,
That's good. Publix is down here. I mean, and I'll get it. Winn-Dixie, everything. Let's go.
Yeah.
If you get it in Walmart, then we're on, right? All three of those things are within like 2 miles. I said all those are close to my house. I can go anywhere.
He's like, I'm ready for it.
I'm ready. Let's go.
So that's the big challenge for me is behind the scenes. What I do is I try to set up the sales. So I'm trying to keep sales going because I actually was in a few Kroger stores. That was actually part of my pitch because when they said, what stores are you in? I said Kroger. And they said, you can't be in Kroger. You're pitching to Kroger, right? I'm like, yes. But see, what you all don't know is you're such a big behemoth that there's the buy local program and then there's the corporate program. And buy local is I could go to the local grocery manager in Ohio and say, I'm a made in Ohio product. Can I be put on your made local shelf? Yes. So when they said I could do that, I got in my Honda and I went to every single Kroger store in my whole radius.
Wow.
And
awesome. That's smart. That's knowing business, right?
Yeah. So people were like, she's in Kroger. And then they saw the announcement, was like, but you're already in Kroger. So what's the big deal about you being in Kroger? I said, because it's corporate Kroger.
Right.
Corporate Kroger can be like, we're going to put you in 60 stores.
Yeah.
We're going to, and then for me, it makes the operations go smoother because you can deliver it to one place and then it's distributed to their stores. So when you think about what's tough about being a small business is the hustle. Check on every single store every other week. Do the demos. You're having to check on multiple people versus one.
Right. Man, hey, now it looks like you're not going to be making it in the kitchen anymore. You're gonna,
and he used to make it. He would make it in a blender. You just put it in a blender.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I made it.
Yeah. But now you got a factory.
Yeah, now it's in a factory and big vats and stuff, and I see it and I marvel at it myself. I really do. And I wish he could have seen it.
Well, that's awesome. I just know you can. I mean, I kind of believe in those things. I think that people see, and I think you see. I'm a firm believer that when they go, they might go, but they're left in you, right? And those things and they do see it. Actually, they see it through you, and that's why a lot of that stuff gives you that extra human power a little bit. Sometimes when you want to sleep, and you just understand that. Nah, granddaddy's saying we got to get up, things like that. And it's really interesting. You had brought up the idea of the glitz and glamour, and you want to show the hustle. And different books I've read, and kind of the way I live my life, and I try to talk to my kids in a certain way. But it's really interesting to see whether it be someone on television, whether it be Jay-Z, Beyonce, or any football player, any famous person, or someone that has a lot. Right? You see what they want you to see. I mean, you see the money, you see the cars, you see all this stuff. But what you don't see is that they were on the bottom of the mountain once, right? And when they were on the bottom of the mountain, they looked at the top, and however they decided to break it down and get up to the top, it wasn't just looking at the top of the mountain. I mean, they went through each step. And a lot of times we're looking at all this great stuff. Are you willing to do the work that it's going to take to get there? And people just don't understand the work. It's always nice to have the money if it's all byproduct of everything and all the hard work that you get to it, and to keep it. Well, you got to be a little bit smarter than just. That's
that what they call it, entrepreneur. Like they're in love with the idea, but they don't really love. They're not really into that. They're not passionate about that journey, about that grind, and it is like. I've done this, and you're probably the first person I've told this. I keep screenshots of times that my bank account was either zero or negative.
Yeah.
And then you can timestamp it and look and see on the surface what was going on. Maybe I was in a big news article, or maybe everybody was excited because something had happened and we had gotten into a store. But I had outstanding purchase orders that had not been paid to me.
Right.
You sell the product doesn't mean they immediately pay you.
Right. It sounds good, right? Again, right. And that's a really interesting point. I mean, a lot of folks don't realize that. I mean, you provide a service or provide a product, you give me money, and we call it a day. Not always that easy.
Yeah, but you got to learn that vocabulary fast, because when they're like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Well, we have a net 30," and you're like, "Okay, well, whatever." And then you go home, and you're like, "Where's my money? We sold net 30."
You have to Google this.
30 days.
I don't have 30 days. My rent is due tomorrow. But it's interesting. And that's, I think as it goes, I mean, I think it goes unsaid. It should be an unsaid thing, but it's all too often not used. But education is great. To me, it's needed, and I'm pursuing my education, trying to grow a little bit for myself intellectually. But a mentor or someone that knows, I don't have a problem hiring a coach. Like I always hear these folks out there, I'm not spending that money to have this person tell me how to do this or whatever. Okay, that's fine. And you can go through it like me. I truly went backwards. Like if you were to go look at the normal process of business, I started off up here when I should have been way back here, right? Because there's a lot of stuff to do prior to. So I did a lot of stuff the wrong way. I learned from it. I didn't fail. I'm still doing business, right? So it's just something in which that I had to kind of reach out to somebody and say, hey, I've had a mentor in my life when I was a kid, which was my father. He maintained being my mentor as a man until he passed. But then when I was in the military, I had mentors all the way from a private all the way to the day I got out and retired. I had mentors. And as I made the transition, I had more mentors that had transitioned to help me. And in this business world where I don't have an MBA, I don't know business. I'm truly lost in a lot of ways. My brother knows business. He's run businesses. So he becomes my mentor in this world, but not to mention, I mean, not just him. I reach out for other folks too, because it's nice to get a little bit of guidance and suggestions and advice that you can say that's too much stuff, but still get a coach, get a mentor. And it's good that you do some consulting because I could probably use it.
Everybody, I think everyone is intelligent. And I say this to people all the time, like, you're very intelligent, because everyone has that specific type of intelligence. Maybe they're very emotionally intelligent. Maybe they're very street smart intelligent. There's a lot of different ways that you can be a really great mentor to someone. And I say that a lot to fellow entrepreneurs, because on their journey up, the ones that have degrees and accolades and all of the acronyms behind their name, and they think that they should have all of that, but they forget, like, you still need to be a student.
Yep.
You still need to be okay with being a student, because that person who doesn't have any acronyms and stuff, they are probably the ones that they bumped into your life. And I don't believe in coincidences, but they were here to teach you something.
Yeah.
And shame on you if you don't learn.
Open ears to listen, right? Gotta listen. There's a lot of knowledge out there. It's a really great thing. Now, you know what? Before I'm going to ask you another question, but I'm going to kind of go off screen a little bit. What I mean by that is, I know I sent you some stuff to just review, but I'm going to do something that just hit me in the head while you were talking, because I didn't read it here. In your bio, it wasn't there, but there was something that stuck out of what you've done in the last year that was actually really cool to me. And I'm trying to recollect it right now as I'm talking, so I might get it wrong. So you're going to fill in the blanks a little bit. But
Okay.
you were going to speak, and I want to say your mother was there. I'm pretty sure she was. And you were invited to speak at Girl Scouts. I think it was Girl Scouts.
It was a Girl Scout national conference.
Okay, so I want you to tell me about that, and I only want to hear that. And I know it's kind of off, and I just want to hear about it because when you were super excited. I remember seeing posts about it. I was asked to speak because I think you were a Girl Scout once, or maybe even in that. I just don't remember the whole story, but I thought it was really cool. And then during the speech, you spoke to your mom, and then there was a bunch of kids that were from a specific troop, and I just thought it was really cool because you being you, you're inspiring and you're giving some information, or it just passing out some. Like, you're just a smile. I mean, you said a bunch of words. Don't get me wrong. Don't ask me to say it word for word what you said. But I just know that you warmed up the room. It was really great. But tell me about how you're involved in that. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, so I was a Girl Scout probably from first grade all the way up to high school. I did get my Gold Award, which is the equivalent of an Eagle Scout. So I got my Gold Award senior year. And then after that, I mean, I just think that Girl Scouts was such a good organization. It taught me, it was probably the earliest version of teaching someone about serving your country and to do things selflessly, and to look at it as it's bigger than you. There's a community that you're serving. There are other people that you're serving. You're helping your sister. So I like how they get your mind to think selflessly. and to think to give and make the world better.
No
Just serve
doubt.
your country.
Yeah.
It's in your oath to serve my country.
It is. And I got to tell you, why I kind of put it there as I was thinking, it kind of fits, right? Because the next question I'm going to talk to you is about leadership, right? It's about kind of what through life kind of made you a fit to be the owner and the Mutt Sauce CEO. What kind of helped you in the military get those skills that said you fit here? But then as I was thinking about the next question, I said, then I remember you were in the Girl Scouts. And I know that is still a leadership development thing for young women around America.
They've evolved the program so much, and they've added STEM to it. And like technical trades, they've added like adventure things to it, almost like mini boot camps. Like they're really prepping you to run something, be something in this country.
Yeah, I think it's evolved a lot from when it first started, long time ago, into what it is now. And you look at some of these women that are out here doing some great things, being in leadership roles, being prominent figures everywhere. And I'd really be interested to see a statistical thing that says, okay, they were in Girl Scouts from this age to this age. Did they start there? Because that's molding a young mind really early, and I think it's awesome. And then, before you even touched the Air Force, you had a MBA in strategic leadership, right? You got pretty impressive there, and then you joined the Air Force, and you are leading people.
Really connecting the dots.
Yeah, my mind works that way, and I need to see pictures, and I'm looking at this how it grows, and now the question comes: what made you feel as though you were prepared to be a leader of your organization as you go out? What prepared you? How do you think you fit to be the CEO of Mutt Sauce?
I didn't start Mutt Sauce with the mindset of leading people. I started Mutt Sauce with the mindset of giving to people, that which meant so much to me. It was symbolic more than anything, because people in my family don't talk about the flavor so much as they talk about the memories.
Mm-hmm.
We all work together. So I was trying to give back something that was lost. Like, you can recreate memories, even though you've lost someone, you can recreate memories and kind of have them there. And that was what made me start the company. I was strange. I was never really focused on, I'm a be a CEO. I don't even really consider myself a CEO. In my signature block, I'm the servant leader of Mutt Sauce. So
awesome.
I want to serve you. So
that's awesome. And got to tell you, just being honest with you. So for 20 years in the Army, I got promoted to E5 back in 2000. So for 17 years, I was a leader of people. And the one thing that my very first great leader I had, he was an Army Mass Sergeant, but he was a great leader. He said, I work for you. He told me that. I mean, he didn't tell everybody that, but he told me that. He goes, I work for you. And I was like, no, you don't. I work for you. He goes, no, I work for you. He goes, what can you do for me? He asked me that as a young kid. He said, what can you do for me? And I said, whatever you tell me to. He goes, no. He goes, you're doing it because you have to do it, right? Because that's what we need to do. But what can you do for me? And I said, not much. He goes, now what can I do for you? And I said, everything. He goes, exactly. So I work for you, and you'll do the things that you need to do to keep your head above water and do all that stuff. But I work for you. I will get you chow. I will do, all those things. And I was a young kid when I learned that. And to be 100% honest with you, I lived my career that way. Now, some people looked at me in a weird way and stuff, but I worked for the people that worked for me. That said that they work for me. So I can see where you're saying in the same manner, you're serving them and you're doing, and I think it's great. I think that's kind of like a genuine words from a leader. You are leading them by working for them.
You look at a lot of organizations, and the ones that have really mastered this whole teach a man to fish, they're doing well, because what happens, like the moment that I learned that I'm going to have this surgery and I'm going to be on bed rest, the first question that my team had, they're like, hey, what do you need us to do in your absence? And you start peeling back the layers. Well, what do they know how to do that's unique to what I do?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, man, I should have this stuff in place. I was freaking out. I'm like, they should not be panicking. It should be really fluid. But there were things that had started coming up just with this hovering, this date looming in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And we were discovering there are things, processes that were not in place, or instructions that they needed. Just, tell us how to do it and let us master it before you have your surgery. So your surgery is not affecting the operations.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think that it's really interesting that you talk about an obstacle, right, of your business, right? But you had to go through it to find out that it wasn't even an obstacle, right? The processes in place and certain things, and that. So next time, hopefully never that you have to be convalesced or laid up to do something else. For a fact that the people I'm sure you already know that the people that you have there are going to do a killer job, but it's more importantly the things that were missing, quote unquote missing, aren't any longer. We filled those gaps. That's awesome though. It's pretty cool.
Like quirky stuff. Like I have one person, she's really great at sales. She's awesome at sales. Mm-hmm. But I said, well, I'm gonna need you to train someone else. But that's a different actual skill set. To teach someone is a different skill set than selling it yourself. So she's like, well, rather I'd be more comfortable if you could do it. Well, if we're trying to grow a team, or maybe we're adding a lot of people and you're a business owner and you know it like the back of your hand, you're teaching it all the time as the leader. One of my mentors, she's like, make a training video, Charlynda. You know it. You only have to say it one time. You put it in your virtual training manual. And now this person who has the fear of teaching doesn't have to be afraid. She's like, here you go. Here's the link.
That's awesome.
Solves that. Yeah.
So Nathan K came on. What's up, Nathan? How you doing? Oh, by the way, my brother came on earlier when we were talking about cold weather and all that stuff. He's in Arizona. It's 3 degrees. He lives in the mountains. Yeah, but I told you should move out of the mountains because I think Phoenix is like 80. Actually, that's a valley, but I'm sure it was kind of chilly. But either way. But then the Nathan K comes on and he says systems make things operate smoothly, which is 100% true. Oh, yeah. It's really interesting, and I don't really want to get into a systems conversation too much, but I've always loved how someone comes into something and says the process is broken, the process is broke, but processes were established to work, right? And usually it's the people that are broken. The processes are actually pretty good. Now you can adjust them as time changes, right? Because things do change over time, but lack of communication with the people who are running the process typically is what's broken. If you just take a look at the process a little closer and you actually communicate the process amongst people, it works like a charm. That's why it existed. All right. Hey, so what I did, so just so you know, Charlynda, I want to be honest with you. So I'm not a real tech savvy person. I mean, I've had this Be Live thing for a long time. I have Zoom as well, and I have Blue Jeans. I have all these different platforms, and I really try to play with them as they go, and I really don't do a great job. But I did do a little bit of stuff prior to, and I wanted to put this stuff up there, and I wanted to do it in the beginning, but I didn't. So now I'm going to do it right now. So I want to talk about where people can find you. So I'm going to put up these things, and I'm going to let you talk about them. So right now I'm going to put up on the screen, it says www.muttsauce.com. Okay. That's where they can go to do what?
So that is our website where you can order Mutt Sauce. There's a video on there if you want to learn a little bit about the company. But mainly, you can be anywhere in the continental U.S. and we will send you some Mutt Sauce. We also, if you put in the notes when you buy it, an APO address and say, I would like to sponsor a care package for a troop, we will ship it out for free.
Oh, that's so awesome. And just so you know, we're going to do that. What I've done for 2019, I actually started a couple shows before. If there's a business and there's a product and it's useful, I mean, there's a couple businesses that I can't use their products. It just wouldn't make sense for me to buy one. But anyway, I'm going to purchase products throughout. So my wife and I will order and we'll test it out, and then we'll put it on here to let you know that we got it, that we love it, and we'll go from there. And oh, by the way, one last thing before I put out the next thing. It's really interesting because you said the memories that you made. And I apologize, my mind works in weird ways. But you were talking about Mutt Sauce itself and not being a CEO and not you wanted to create memories, and that was kind of what you wanted to be able to do around the world. What's really interesting to me as I'm thinking about it is because every bottle has a picture of
my grandfather,
right? So everywhere that Mutt Sauce is, your grandfather is. And you said I wish you could see it, or he's seeing it. He's actually. It's just really cool. I think I apologize. That's kind of after the fact, but that's, again, my mind works like that after the fact.
Oh, I forgot to say. So his call sign in Korea and Vietnam was Mutt. They said he could blend in anywhere. In case anybody was wondering, like, why is it called Mutt sauce? It's not dog. You get that all the time. Like, why? What is it? So,
I think that's great. And anyway, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to move the next thing on the thing, which is your Instagram and Twitter account stuff. So it's OTOS, and that's Twitter and Instagram. See how I'm doing this? I'm just letting you know you're like the first person. I mean, I put stuff on occasion, but it usually doesn't work all this well. But it's actually doing pretty good right now. I'm winning.
Like it.
All right. And then this is www.charlyndagene.com. And what is this?
So this is like if anybody wanted to learn a little bit more in depth about who I am, outside of just the military and stuff, all the things that I'm into. I'm still tinkering with it. So since I do events, I like fashion. And because I get pictured in a lot of stuff, I set up a Poshmark store. Poshmark is basically how you can turn your closet into your own online shopping mall. So people can buy my old gowns, like, because I only wear them once or twice, and then they're just sitting there. So
I got it. As a matter of fact, my wife typically watches these and likes it and stuff because she supports me in everything I do, no matter who the guest is. But I'm going to have her go back in because she is kind of similar. Like we'll go to military balls or whatever the case may be, and she'll buy this beautiful gown. It's gorgeous. And I can go into her closet and say, look at this beautiful gown. It's gorgeous. That's sitting here because you wore it once. So I think I might have her look into doing that as well because I think it sounds like a great idea.
awesome.
Outstanding. Now, let me ask you this before I bring up the next thing. You speak, you consult, you do some stuff. And if someone wanted to have you speak for them or if they wanted to have you consult for them, which way would you prefer them to reach out to you? Would it be through an email? Through the website, or would it be through an email?
Yeah, I would tell them they could do it off of charlyndagene.com. I also have my consulting agency is OTOS Marketing. It's OH Taste Marketing.com.
I'd write that right now, but I'd mess it all up. So
yeah, it's like like Ohio. Taste Marketing.
Outstanding. So good. If you listen, replay this again. If you listen to that but didn't catch it, just rewind it and you can hear what she just said. Taste Marketing, you'll be good. And then this last one is at Charlynda Dean, and this is for?
That's my personal branding. So all the things that I'm into, my entertaining stuck in the car and the torrential brain Snapchats.
So that's pretty much like your call. Like, so if they went to Facebook or if they went to Twitter and they could find.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Charlynda Dean, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Outstanding. Now you said Snapchat. Do you use Snapchat?
I Snapchat.
Okay. I don't have so my wife, my daughter, my son, not so much, but these people use this Snapchat. I'm telling you, I'm old because again, I said it in the introduction. I've had a Twitter account. I've never. I don't tweet. I don't do much with it, right? So I'm actually going to try to do this live here, as well as stream it live on Periscope using my cell phone while we were doing this. The problem was I wanted to. I just wasn't. I couldn't get the phone to change. Like on Facebook Live, I can switch the camera and I can see me. Well, on Periscope, I didn't want to go live without being able to know because I've never done it before. So I couldn't figure out so I'm gonna have to go live at a different time and maybe tell people to go check.
Way more tech savvy than you do.
Well, I'm just trying stuff. I mean, I mess it all up like a chief. But I'll tell you, I have no issue messing it up. I actually mess up with dignity and pride and smile and wave because what are you gonna do? So it is what it is. Okay. So as we're reaching out to the end of the show, everybody I asked to have them share me a you can't make this stuff up moment, right? Like something that happened in your career that if you told somebody that never dealt with the military that they wouldn't believe, and it doesn't have to be funny, but it could be something that's really cool, whether it be dealing with the inauguration or something, or it could just, but hey, listen, the one rule I have is don't do anything that if after you tell me it, I see like lights shining, like the police are going to come in and take it. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to go to jail for saying it.
Oh man, let's see. Gosh, what could I say? Should I go funny or embarrassing? I have them all. Really.
I think we all do. That's the best part.
I guess. Oh, here's my thing. Okay, here's my thing. The very first very first day on the job, active duty. I'm in Georgia. So if anybody ever calls me like, it's a Georgia number, yes, I kept the same number since my first assignment. I walk into the building and all the stuff that I think of active duty gets just thrown in the toilet. When the lady comes in, she's like, "Hi, welcome to Robins Air Force Base. Your desk is between Larry and Barry." And I'm like, what kind of directions is that? You know, first of all, I don't really understand acquisition, so I don't realize that I work in an office.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I walk into this office building and I'm like, where's like the barracks? I'm like, I'm really like ready to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready for the whole chow hall experience.
I want the experience.
Yeah. So they're like, your desk is between Larry and Barry. And I said, okay, well, let me go find wherever that is. So I'm just wandering through the aisles until I see a cubicle that says Larry. And Larry's sitting in his big reclining chair, and he looks back, and you know he's a heavyset guy, so you hear him huffing and puffing, trying to turn around and look and see who's staring at him. Oh, we got another butter bar, great. Welcome. I'm like, hi. So, and then a man comes out of his cubicle, and I can see he's Barry. I was like, I found my seat,
yeah.
And Barry has like this shrine to his kids.
Yeah.
And he has I didn't know how many kids he had from the pictures, but he said he had 2. And he said that his daughter was an aspiring model. And he said that his son was an aspiring music star. I said, what kind of music? He said he's going to do country music. I said, oh, great. He's like, so he's got this thing in about 2 weeks. He's going to meet with the record label. And it's going to be great. So, you know, you're in what? Warner Robins, Georgia, and this man's talking about how his son is going to make it big. Yeah. I said, yeah, great. And he said, I said, well, does he have like a stage name? Because if you're going to be famous, I'm just making small talk. I'm like, you should have a stage name. I said, well, his name is Jason. He's going to take my middle name. I said, what's that? He said, Aldean. I was like, oh, Jason Aldean. That sounds pretty good. And so when I PCS next, I went to Boston. And I remember sitting down, I'm watching the Country Music Awards, and they're like, Artist of the Year, Jason Aldean. I'm like,
get out of here. Right.
So now he's like,
yeah. I got to be honest with you now, and I hope I'm not interrupting the rest of the story, but I got to be honest with you right here because it's important. I've never, ever, ever been to a country music concert in my life, but I went to Jason Aldean here in Florida. And a buddy of mine said, hey, I got tickets. I was like, I'll go. I'd never been, so I went. He's a great entertainer. I mean, it was actually a good time. Now, it's also really funny to watch people at a country music concert. But anyway, he was an awesome, it was an awesome time. But yeah, that's really.
He had a concert, and his dad was so excited. He's like, oh, he's got a concert. And I said, where's that? He says, out in Macon. I'm like, Macon is like the little outskirt town outside of, they're both small. Mm-hmm. There was like 40, 45 people, and they're like, Jason! I'm like,
so funny.
So, but I'm like, I knew him when there was like 45 people.
Right.
Rocking out, and they loved it. Yeah.
So you're gonna have to get him to have you go on the stage with him sometime. He'd be like, I knew her. She know.
I'm probably too small potatoes for him now. Look.
Maybe, but you never know. Hey, you ever see A Star Is Born?
I haven't seen it with Lady Gaga or the original one.
Yeah, Lady Gaga. I mean, there's like been 4 like them now, but yeah, with Lady Gaga.
I haven't seen it yet.
Great movie. Look, that's not even my type of movie. Great movie. And it's got a great soundtrack too, so it's actually pretty good. And they did a really good job, both of them. I think they were excellent. So they think they're going to win awards, or they already did. I'm not a big. I watch movies. I don't know anything about awards, so, but you know what? And that brings me up to. I was going to end the show, Charlynda. I was going to be done, but we have to talk about something. So it's 8:00. That's usually my time, and I don't want to take. Do you have something to do?
I'm on bed rest.
Okay, so I'm gonna borrow you for 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So the Vetties. I really wanted to talk about them because they're really not known that well. So you're on the board of governors, which happened not too long ago. I remember saw the announcement about a month ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So I want you to do me a favor.
Okay.
I talked to Eric Mitchell about it when he was on the show. By the way, he's absolutely hilarious. But anyway, so he talked to me briefly about the Vettys.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to talk about it some more because it's the fourth annual, from what I remember seeing. It's the fourth annual Vetty Awards, it's the Veteran Awards, and they call it the Vettys. Can you lay some knowledge down to us? Because people want to know.
Well, it's the Academy of United States Veterans, and it is a wonderful organization that they blend support of veteran organizations with influential people. So what I experienced last year with the Vettys, how I would describe it is Hollywood and people in Washington D.C. because Chief of Staff General Kelly at the time, he was there. A lot of Hollywood celebrities came in, Anne Heche, Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, all the people that you would see on TV that you wouldn't realize either support veteran organizations or they were once veterans themselves. Montel Williams.
Yeah. Oh, and he's a man. Yeah. You were there, so you got to hear him speak. I love hearing him speak. Just so you know, I love him.
Yeah, and he was there, and just to hear them talk about how they have been influenced by veterans and what we have done even after we've transitioned. And so it's kind of an award show. It's Oscar style. People are winning awards in different categories. It's very posh, I would say. It's definitely black tie. But I mean, the atmosphere is that it's so relaxed. I mean, you might be talking to a celebrity. I was sitting with Anne Heche. We're talking all in a circle, and you're like, these are just, the fact that they are laid back. They're all there just to really kick back with you. Thank you for your service and talk to you about your initiatives, things that you have in the next year that you want to do. It really is a great opportunity to collaborate.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. So let me ask you this, because this is actually my question. It's not for anybody else, and hopefully someone else has the same question so I can answer for you. So someone like me, right? So I do this podcast, and really it transformed into the video interviews because it was just usually over the phone, or whatever I would do, I would then record it and send it out. But now I want to be involved in that. I want to be nominated for a Vetty, right? I'm not. That's not real. I'm saying hypothetically.
You're someone who wants to be considered for a Vetty.
Yeah, because there's so many organizations nationwide, right? And I mean, I went down and looked at some of the companies that are mentioned in it. By the way, I think I saw your company in there somewhere along the way. But which, by the way, congratulations, awesome. But I seen a bunch, but there's a bunch that I don't see. So I'm not sure if they're recognized, if they don't see them. And I'm just based on how much I see them going through social media, based on the testimonials given by different places, whether they be out in Texas or California or hell, Nebraska, different places. There's so many veteran organizations of veterans that are doing great stuff. How is it because there's not much awareness to it, or how do they get that? How do I get someone nominated to be in there?
Yeah, I think that forums like this, like what you're doing, is really great because you're giving people knowledge. It's like you don't know what you don't know. Right. And there's a nomination period for the Vetty. So there's a nomination period where you can nominate an organization or an individual for some of these awards. And then it's voted on by the Board of Governors. So we go in and we see who the nominees are and then we make our vote. Okay. But yeah, it's about staying involved so that you know that there is the Vettys and there is stuff like I did Manhattan mistletoes, and I'm probably getting that Manhattan's mistletoes and martinis, or those. It was so fun.
Okay.
It's M3 for vets, but it's done by the American Freedom Fund, which is run by Gabriel Stecker and Don Bramer. Okay. So they have M3 for vets, which has a lot of Capitol Hill support. You'll have like every senator and representative of Capitol Hill is at this event to support veterans. So if you didn't know about M3 for vets, then that might change the mix up of who the nominees were. So it is about building the awareness so that we'll get that new pool of great organizations in for the next year.
Outstanding. So I'm creating business goals throughout the year, and obviously people that know and watch me know this isn't a business. This is what I do really just do it because I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy helping the veteran community all the way around. So what I'm going to do over the next year until next Vetties is I'm going to raise awareness to it. So what I'll do is I'll talk with you on off the show and maybe send through some email traffic just to figure out how I can be a voice or just something to push just awareness out for you. So next year there's a bigger pool, but more importantly, just more awareness so people are watching it and understand how great of a program it is. I actually enjoyed you had live shows on there last year. Eric Mitchell had some lives that y'all were doing from there. There's 3 other folks that were there that I really didn't know too well at the time, and I can't off the top of my head on it. I'll probably think about it after we're done. But anyhow, they were all doing lives, and it looked so much fun. Everybody had great clothes on. It looked like the Oscars, and it was really great, just to see the veteran organization recognized at something like that. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor before we do go. If you meet anybody that is at the Vetties on the 21st of January of this year when you go there, and they want someone who has a beard and is bald to be in a movie, but I don't have to play the main part.
Like a list type of stand-in.
Yeah, whatever. No, I don't want to be a stand-in. I got to be a support actor. I got to be a support actor. I could be his brother. I could be a younger brother, or maybe not too much younger. Maybe I could be a son.
Yeah.
Anyway, but if you find anybody that's looking, it'd be pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah. Look, I'll plug you.
It'll be great.
I'll be up on stage just like, hey, but what about Jeffrey Lodick, though? I mean, let's talk about him since I haven't talked about him.
They'll be like, who? Yeah. Who's she talking about? It's all right, though. All right there, Miss Lady. Well, listen, I truly appreciate you, ma'am, for coming. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Before you go, anything at all you want to say, please do this. I'm going to give you the moment. You can have 30 seconds. You can have 65 minutes. It's up to you. What would you like to say before you go?
You are talented beyond your comprehension. You are where you are for a great purpose. Everything in your life makes perfect sense. Your life is a game of chess, not checkers. And I believe in you.
That's outstanding. Well, I truly appreciate you. Again, thank you for coming. And we will be in touch because we got to make this Vetties thing great. I saw it. I'm excited, and we got to keep posting this. So I'll share it, and I'll have my friends share it, and we'll just keep getting it bigger and bigger because I think what you guys are doing up there, it's awesome. Congratulations on Kroger's. Congratulations on the Vetties. Let's get into Publix. My wife and I will order all four flavors. We're going to see what it's like, and we'll go from there. We'll do a review. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll do a live review in my kitchen.
Oh, cool.
It'll be fun, and we'll make it an event. So.
Nice.
Thank you again. Well, anybody, all y'all out there that listen, Happy New Year again. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I appreciate you guys coming back because I know all y'all are going to watch this because I actually have a pretty great group of people that come on this show and listen. Thank you all for your support and continued blessing. So, with that being said, we'll see you next time on the other side.